Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the costumeco channel. And today I am doing another interview about a new show, a new movie called The Bluffs. It is on, The Bluff. I just screwed up already, Antoinette. It's on Prime, Amazon Prime right now. You can go and watch the movie. And today I have with me costume designer Antoinette Messam, who is here to talk to me about the show. So I'm so excited to have you, Antoinette. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me. Fellow Canadian, I'm here with bells on. Hi.
Awesome. Yeah. So actually, it's been a few years. The last time I had you on, we were talking about the Book of Clarence that is sort of set in biblical times. And I know you got a lot of accolades costume-wise on that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I know. I think you got a CAP for that.
I got a CAP and I was nominated for my first CDG award. So that was great.
That's incredible. And did you go down to LA for the nomination and everything for the ceremony?
Yes. I was actually there when, and it was fun. It was, I'd only been to the Awards, not the CDG Awards a couple of times because I'm 90% of the time I'm not in the country. And it was actually great to be in and get ready at my home and go. So it was a really lovely experience.
That's fun. Amazing.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about The Bluff. I screwed up the title, but it's right there above me, so I wouldn't forget. So I got contacted about this interview, and you know what? I watched it that night.
Wow.
I just was like, no problem. I'm watching it. I'm on it. And so I'm so glad we were able to get together and talk about this show. So for anyone who doesn't know about it, do you want to just tell us a little bit about the show, or the movie, I should say, and how you got interested in this project?
Well, The Bluff is, I guess you would call a pirate genre movie. I didn't know they had their specific genres, but it is a pirate movie, not to be mistaken with anything to do with Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's on Amazon, and it stars Priyanka Chopra Jonas, badass Miss Priyanka, and Carl Urban, who a lot of people know from The Boys. And, when I got the call about this movie, luckily I was in Los Angeles, and I read the script, and immediately is like, I'm in. I loved the script. I loved the direction of it being fierce female driven to protect her family at all costs. And I knew the story. It was a folklore that I grew up on as a child in Jamaica. And then the icing on the cake was the director is also Caribbean, from the Caribbean. He's from the Cayman Islands. So at our interview, he said something that was so funny. He said a word which I know. He said marina. And I knew immediately what he was talking about, but I stopped and I started to laugh. And he said, "What's so funny?" And I said, "You have to hire me now because only I would know what that was." And it's the West Indian term for an undershirt.
Oh,
so it's like patois. Put on your marina. I knew what he was talking about, but I laughed because who else would have known that unless they grew up in the culture? So we immediately connected on, his grandfather's Jamaican. He grew up he was born and grew up in Cayman Islands, but he lived in Jamaica. So there were references and phrases that he used that I immediately understood. So that was also really heartwarming and made me want to do the movie even more so. Yes, there he is.
So, by the way, I don't know if it's because of the perspective, but is Carl that tall?
He is tall. He is he's at least 6'1". So he's tall enough. Yeah.
It might just be a perspective thing because I was thinking that maybe. What's the name of the director?
Frank E. Flowers.
So now we know that the movie, the setting of it is in the Cayman Islands in the 1800s. By the way, when I was first contacted about this, I didn't realize it was a period piece. So that was very cool. So that's kind of fun for you. You get to do all kinds of research. You said you have some history connection to the islands, but did you want to tell me what your process was like and how you went about that?
Well, for the interview, I did, the deep dive into trying to figure out what this was going to look like so I could speak to it when I presented it. And it was fairly descriptive. The script, I mean, Frankie, and I'll call him Frankie if that's okay. Frankie had already done, a lot of his own research, which he shared some of it with me. But you always want to do your own so you get into the story. And that was my first, let me see what this will look like. And then, of course, I realized there wasn't a lot of Caribbean archival imagery. And then I stumbled across one or two. And when I researched the background of those images and where they came from, lo and behold, I discovered that they were in Toronto at the AGO. They actually own they bought that entire collection of not just, I'd say Caribbean from as early as you could take pictures, but there was some early lithographs and illustrations in there as well that started approximately mid 40s. And a lot of the photography was a little later, but not so late that the silhouette wasn't changed. Like I didn't look at anything that started to look Edwardian because this is Victorian, early Victorian. But what we call the coolies in the period and in the script were actually Indian indentured servants. So that was a whole, lane that I had not discovered. And I should, considering, Jamaica has a large Indian population as well as Asian, Chinese from Hong Kong. So looking at the Indian, how the Indians got to the islands in that time, how the Chinese, and because they were going to be in the script in terms of diversing the background, diversing the sailors, that you're going to it was going to be multicultural because that's what it was back then. All these different cultures finding their way to the islands, whether by sailors, by former indentured servants, the Irish, the Scottish, the Indian, the Chinese, all that you see historically on these islands now. That's how they originated. And just a little sidebar, there was a lot of, why are they using an Indian actress to play this lead part that takes place in the Caribbean? And I'm like, do your research.
Absolutely.
Do your research, East Indian Trading Company. That's who Connor worked for. So that was, again, a dive down that lane of, who were there and how did they come about and when did they end and how did he end up looking the way he does now? So all of it, as we've said many times, starts with the research and where we go to find the research. And I think I own the book now, but I found the only hard copy in Toronto in the Cathcart Library.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yes. I was like, yes, finally. Not AI generated,
Yes.
cosplay looking pirates of the Caribbean. And actual,
Like Mutiny on the Bounty, like that one? Yeah.
all those. An actual book, very old, of black and white etchings of sailors and seamen who, closely looking at them, you could see where some of that imagery for, what is our original blueprint that everybody thinks of when they think of pirates is Pirates of the Caribbean. I could see where it started for her with just that simple book of that time period, So, I mean, you and I could talk about research all day.
Oh, I love research. It's one of my, by the
Yeah.
way, I know like the ROM is another place I really love, and they have digitized a lot of my stepmother actually, she volunteers there. And, I love now that a lot of the museums are and archives are putting it online so you can get access to it. One of the things that sort of made me, I'm going down a little rabbit hole here, but one of the things that sort of made me a little upset is there's a few archives, like there's a Robert De Niro archive, and none of it's public. You have to actually, you have to write a letter to, it's like in Texas, you have to write them a letter and ask them if they will go into the archive, take a picture of it, get the picture. But once you have the picture, you're not even allowed to share it. And I'm of the
What's
mind
the
of,
point?
that's what my attitude is. My attitude is, I think these things should be shared, like Stanley Kubrick, same thing. Nothing is available. I just think that these archives should be available for everybody to look at. And that's one of the reasons why I actually really love supporting some of this, even though some of the things that go to auction go to a private collector, at least they take wonderful detailed photos and information if something has been in a movie. And then someone like me, who when I'm going down my little research lane, I can find out all the information about those things that I have come to love so much. So, by the way, so Antoinette, you and I are both we both love the research. We have that
Yeah.
shared in common.
But I have to share this with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you use the word auction,
Yes.
my Tuesday started with setting my alarm and my timers to bid on costumes from this movie that were all on auction. So other than a few key pieces that the studio owns, everything was put up for sale.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you share what auction house did it? Are you allowed to share that?
VIP auctions.
Yes,
And
yes.
yes. And I had not heard, I'd not done this before. It's the first time. So I was a little thrown when we found out at the end of the film that we're going to be sending the costumes to this auction house. And I'm like, no, what if I want to put them on display?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
as an exhibit. So I bought a few.
Yeah, so that you can. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Usually, I always thought they give you first right to purchase it before they do that, but they don't do that.
No.
Wow, I know. I have.
They actually did for one item that I will not talk about because the price
Sure.
will blow you out of this chair.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when my background is theater, and when we did, like when we wrapped or whatever, oftentimes we let the actors, buy pieces if they wanted, like we give it to them at cost kind of thing. So if they wanted to own it. I was going to tell you, this is a fun little story. So Carlos Rosario, who is working on Shogun, he wanted to get the producer a little gift, and I discovered that they were selling the original Richard Chamberlain costume from the original
Wow.
Shogun from the 70s. So he ended up getting it, and he gave that as a gift to the showrunner of the new Shogun. Isn't that fun?
Oh my God, that is amazing.
I know. I couldn't believe he got it, because what had happened was I was doing an interview with Prop Store, and they had the Richard Chamberlain, and they showed it to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to tell Carlos about this. So,
No, that's incredible. I wonder how it ended up there.
I think private collectors will oftentimes have these things, and then eventually maybe someone passes away, and then the family wants to sell it. So someone had it in their collection for years, but it was still in pretty good shape, to be honest with you. I was actually pretty impressed. But a very simple costume, his sort of. I guess his captain's costume, like when he's on the ship. So that's about 1600s, I think. But anyway, so back to your show. Sorry,
but if you ever see a Connor from the Bluff, the Connor costume, call me.
I will.
I was outbid every single time.
Yeah.
This costume, we had multiples of them, and there's two that weren't in auction that I can use for display, from Amazon. But to own it, I was going up against people who were dropping 3, 4 figures.
Oh, I
You
know. It's
know,
crazy.
it was crazy. And I'm like, I can't compete with these prices. That's a
No.
whole paycheck.
Yeah. You could almost probably more cheaply get one of your cutters to rebuild it
Yeah,
than to
absolutely.
actually buy it. But of course,
Yeah.
Carl Urban wouldn't have worn it. But, uh, well, anyway, so the other thing I want to talk to you about is, so we've got a couple of different worlds. We've got the Islanders,
Hmm.
and then we have the pirates that come off of the boat that arrive on the island. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about the contrast between those two groups of people? And also, I didn't mention, we were talking about historical influences. We also have the Maori, I gather,
Hmm.
or
Yes,
the
yes,
indigenous
yes.
folks as well. So, do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, for the Maori, our
Mhm.
actor who played um, Quartermaster Lee, he really wanted to
Here he is.
bring
Here,
his culture, yes,
yeah.
bring his culture to the film, which makes sense. Again, speaking to, these are pirates. These are former sailors that would have been picked up on different islands, different countries, different ports. So we have his influence, including the prop, which is a Maori paddle. I'm sorry if I don't say the right name for it, but he even uses his language in the film. And those are I didn't want to dress him because to link to that, because I thought it was fairly obvious with his accent, with the words he chose to use, like he just call out to someone stop, but it would be in his native language.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to overdo it, and I felt that he acted that part. So just making him who he was, which was a leader of his sailors. And leader is almost like, second in command leader. But the difference between the two was very distinct because that was the mandate. You know, our very first meeting, in the interview process, my director really wanted to show the militaristic, the tactical, the formation. He wanted that to feel like a force that hit that island and overtook it. And they were dark. I mean, originally Frankie wanted them to be in all black. And
Oh,
yeah, and the conversation was, we needed to separate them with textures. We needed to
hmm,
separate them with tone. And then the mesh came in, which kind of blew some of that out the water. But I still feel like you can see their silhouettes. Look at the gentleman behind Connor. You can see his pants and his shirt
yes, absolutely.
underneath the black mesh. And our our townsfolk, a lot of them were made up of two groups, sailors and farmers.
Hmm.
And historically, especially for such a small island, and the Cayman Islands was Jamaica's sister island. So there was always a ship either leaving Cayman to go to Jamaica or from Jamaica to Cayman Islands. And they brought the supplies, they brought the resources that you couldn't grow locally because there was no infrastructure on Cayman at that time. And they were our sister island that we supported. They even used the Jamaican currency. So who were on that island? Families that the father or the sons were seamen, or woman, as we saw with Priyanka,
Hmm.
tending to her land while her husband was at sea. That day that, you know, Connor and his sailors land on the island, there was a boat about to leave. And the townspeople would have gotten dressed in their Sunday best. It's an event for them. It's something to celebrate, or a reason to celebrate more than anything else. So that was another thing that was important to Frankie and I, is just showing that they clean. It's almost like going to church. They clean themselves up to send off their loved ones in a positive note. No crying. Oh no, when am I going to see you again? They were happy, and
Yeah, like
privileged.
even the children were there, like because they
Yeah,
get later get huddled into the church or like hidden
yeah,
in the church
yeah.
kind of thing. So you got all the families, the moms and dads, and the
Hmm,
kids,
hmm.
And
Yeah,
I did notice that there is a lightness, though, of the people living on the island, that they have their clothing compared to, say, maybe the pirates. So you didn't go with the blacks per se necessarily, but it felt like more like natural
yeah.
fibers that you
I wanted
used.
it to be natural and to be
Yeah.
soft and to be very reminiscent of Caribbean culture. When I looked at those archival pictures, they were whites, they were light, the tones were very neutral.
Mhm.
And as compared to when you looked at what it could have been if they were in Martinique, which was a little bit more vibrant in the French islands, the French colony islands. But I also, with the wanting to separate the two distinctively, specifically leaned lighter and with colors that were muted and washed from the sun, washed from the sea, and not full vibrant colors. But that was pretty organic to the times too. I mean, you're on the islands, you want to be in light colors, you want to be able to have it move and breathe. So less structure, you don't have any corseting, you don't have any boning. If you were in
Mhm.
Jamaica now, you would see the wealthy plantation owners
Mhm.
would in, corseted, refined attire to show stature. But we didn't have that on Cayman at the time. These people were people escaping to form their own colony, their own homes. Some of them, if the law showed up, would be arrested because they're
Mhm.
escapees. I mean, look at Priyanka's Ursul's character. She is in hiding pretty much in this life, hiding and pretending to be a fisherwoman, fishmonger's wife, as they call her.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hmm.
I was going to say, and I was noticing about the silhouette with the women. So, yeah, like I was like, okay, I definitely recognize the silhouette of the period, but like you say, you don't have the corseting, you don't have maybe the crinolines aren't as big. They're softer. You might just have a petticoat or something. Like for instance,
Yeah.
in this photo here, like she's wearing the I don't know, what do you call it? Like I was got like a camisole and bloomers. Is there a name for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
set?
yes, absolutely. That was bloomers she had
Mhm.
on, and that is a carryover of the costume that she was sleeping in, that she, you know,
Gets destroyed.
gets destroyed,
With all of that
get
was nuts.
destroyed. But she also, she had time enough to take the blood off her, take the top off, throw a dress on, and go.
I love that
And
actually. I love that they did that. Like she has that little my son calls it that little moment of rest, before
Mhm.
like the action picks up again. By the way, I know we can get to her character, but I was curious, was it in the script that she was going to fight in her bloomers like that?
No, it was in the script that she was in night attire and she was going to fight in it. And we originally made a nightgown and night dress, if you want to call it. But my first fit in with Priyanka at her home in LA, I flew from Australia to Los Angeles to fit her. We tried that on and decided very quickly it was not going to work. Once she got on the ground and started trying to do some action, because she's already started working with her stunt woman, we're like, no, 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 this is not going to work. So we chose the bloomers because that is practical. That would have been her undergarment, her underwear, and it being hot on the island, that's what she slept in. And also because of her character too. The night dress just felt a little sweet as well when we tried it on. But I made like 3 different prototypes of a nightgown, and it was just, and we pinned it and we shortened the sleeves, we took the sleeves off, and then we just realized it's not going to work. Let's make it practical so you can wrap your legs around a man's,
Hmm.
head and do all of that realistically without having to worry about hiking up a dress. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, our very first fitting, that's the stuff we did. We workshopped it. I have videos of Priyanka getting, taking the bottom of the skirt and wrapping it underneath the belt and different ways, tying it in a knot, working out different ways that we could make it work, and realizing the skirt was too full, so we needed to streamline it a little bit for movement. Like, that was a gift. When I think about it now, when she finally arrived in Australia from the film she was doing, we had about a week with her to fine tune and work with her stunt coordinator with her in the costume. And I just thought, you know what? I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to go back before we got to, when she speaks about it taking 3 months, she wasn't lying. It, going to see her with the, prepping the costumes to fit her the first time, going to see her 2 months out before she went to head of state, realizing we needed to adjust or change the costume completely, like from a nightgown to bloomers and camisole. It's starting over, and people don't realize that. We did 2 versions of the cuirass, lacing up the back, buckling at the side, and
there it is there.
Again, workshopping it with her in person as just, my wonderful cutter Kit did these leather corset and busts, and this is before it becomes hard and the leather makers take over. But that's when we figured out, no, we wanted her to be able to put it on from the side. We don't have all day for her to be, pulling on strings at the back like a corset to make it fit. And also, too, I literally took like 2 inches out of each side. And that, I cried when we were cutting it away because I love the fit of the full, but for her to move her arms and the kind of action she was doing, it wasn't practical.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I'm glad you called it a cuirass, because that's what I was going to call it, and I wasn't sure what you call a leather bodice, a leather corset, but that's it, because it's really a protective. It's armor. It's her armor. And I do have a question for you. I did see a little bit of the working on this on Instagram. What is the motif that you have just on her left breast there? It looks like a silhouette of a woman.
It's a female siren. So her, the art department, again, a gift. I was right in the art department. My office, it was like a bullpen and surrounded by offices, and then, the bullpen in the middle. So on one side of the room was the costume department with my office, and on the other side of the room was the art department office they had 3 offices over there. Props, set deck, and the production designer. And I saw that they were designing the sails, and I saw the fabric and the etching that was going on her sail for her ship. And I thought, what an amazing idea to have that be her symbol. That's her mark, having that siren that calls to ships, but that siren also etched onto her cuirass. And when I pitched it to Frankie, he loved it, and so did Priyanka, and we went for it.
Yeah, it's sort of like Odysseus, like Greek mythology.
Absolutely, and the workmanship, the time, and the details. Megan, who was our key leather maker, her and Lolly did such beautiful, as you could see from that video, hand work that ended up being on the red carpet.
Yeah. So actually, while you're speaking of that, maybe we can just touch on that a little bit. So how did this all come about? And is it the same piece?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. It
The
just looks
same
darker
piece.
here. Hmm.
Because what they did is it was aged, obviously, for film, and they cleaned it up and polished it for the red carpet.
Got you. Okay. And then the siren looks almost like red in the
Yeah,
motif here. Yeah.
yeah.
You must have done quite a few prototypes to get this, gorgeous shape.
Yeah, we did. Kit, our lead cutter, we actually scanned Priyanka,
Oh,
and we
okay.
had her actual physical bust form. Not that she stayed that size. That's a whole other conversation.
I was going to ask you because she's training, right, during this whole
Yes,
process,
yes,
well,
yes.
between fittings, and you're like, you go back and you're like, wait a second, your back is wider or something.
We shaved that bust down
Yeah.
twice. Yeah. And it's not easy to cut down the leather cuirass, as I'm sure you know. It's hard, but when you hold it, it's literally standing on its own.
It's like a boiled leather. It becomes
Yeah,
very almost rigid.
exactly. It is rigid. And so the first time we had, different silhouettes, but I like the shape of a corset and how it molds to the body. And you see that in the front and the back. And what we did is we adapted the side buckles so that we could take it in or let it out as needed. If the day was cold and she was layering warm, silks or wool underwear underneath. Yeah.
There she is. Yeah, because here you actually have like some kind of tunic underneath it
Yeah. It's a it's
and
a
leather
it's a
pants.
shirt that
Oh, shirt. Okay.
it's a shirt, but the shirt, I have to share this story. I obviously did incredible illustrations with our concept artist, Gina DeMonico, and one of our producers printed the concept art and it looked green to her. My actual costume was black, and the concept art, it's black, which is what we wanted. Her original costume, her Bloody Mary costume, fit into the world of the men that were stepping off that ship. She was one of those people. She looked like one of those people. But my producer wanted it to be green, like in her picture that she printed out, that somehow her printer printed that shirt green. So I had to find a green that fit both worlds, that was in the right light. You saw that it was
Oh,
green,
okay.
but in some, instances, and thankfully for this, it reads dark and black because to me it's more menacing than it be a color. But I then chose a forest green, like a dark forest green, that looking at it, you see that it's green, but it, depending on how it's lit, like at night, it's going to read black. So I was able to satisfy both creatives.
Yeah, because it looks like her pants and of course her cuirass are kind of like a chocolate brown.
Well,
Is it?
actually, her cuirass is chocolate brown, and her pants are a washed black.
Oh,
This
okay. Okay.
yeah, washed, like like you have black denim that is
Exactly.
washed
Yes.
out
After
and
some.
washed out, and yeah, many
Yeah, but also
washings.
I'm sure there were filters because if from the other photo, it looked like Carl's jacket was actually like kind of a royal blue or a navy
Yeah, it's
blue,
it's a navy. It's a
a
true
navy. See
navy.
there in that light, in the
Yeah.
natural light, but then here with the I think there was like from the fire.
The fire and the sun was starting to come up.
Yeah,
They had fought all night. I mean, this all takes place in one night.
that's crazy.
Yeah. That entire movie is one script day.
Wow, that's crazy when you think about it that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is a night scene here, and again, everything sort of is looking into the black, but it isn't.
Well,
So,
that I was about to say that's a skill. Um, it's a skill in the sense of layering, layering the tones, that it's dark, and the darkest item he's wearing is his actual vest, leather vest.
Mm-hmm.
His shirt underneath is an indigo blue.
This is actually it's quite
And
dark
then, yeah, and the jacket is navy. But in a certain light, especially knowing that we were shooting night scenes, it was important for me that it still read dark and menacing. But then in the light of day, you see the colors. You see the difference in the textures.
there.
But when we needed it to be strong and dark, it read that way.
Absolutely. Now I wanted to go back a little bit to Priyanka's her other looks. So we have the first look that she wears at the beginning, like you say, she's farming and she's doing all the chores. Is this the look here?
Yeah, but it's this look. It would not be her farming look.
Yeah.
This look is the story opens with her going to the bluff with her, glasses to look for her husband. Is he coming home? She dressed for, in hopes of receiving him that day. She dressed for Isaac's birthday. It's a special day.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
She makes this special cake out of coconut.
Coconut. Yes, coconut drip, which again is very Caribbean. Coconut drops.
Absolutely. I have a friend from the Caribbean. She used to make a coconut cake. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
So to answer your question, that is an adapted Indian costume, and when I say adapted, she's now reclaiming her heritage, reclaiming her name, reclaiming who she was before she became Bloody Mary. And this is something that I think she would have had made on the island from memory and using fabrics, cottons that, she could have gotten from a merchant that came over from the main island, Jamaica, and sold to her. So we kept it really simple, very, very simple, and, culturally and correct, but adapted to suit her lifestyle. The top is a little longer in the front and back than it would have been. It would have been cropped a little higher to show more midriff. And we wanted to make it that it had the inspiration of an Indian culture without being literal, because she wouldn't have been there from she was a child.
And then here's her. This is like the family photo. Was this a set shot that they did? Because I don't remember this being.
This was a set shot because they wanted to show in the set dressing images of them as an early family when they got married, and this was her wedding dress. Again.
Yeah. And here it is here too.
Adapting.
I love this photo.
Adapting this costume for the period, and Priyanka and I went through period costumes. She shared with me, I shared with her, and it was very important that this be accurate and the way she drapes it to where her character would have come from as a child.
Yeah.
And thankfully for me, I had an Indian actress who knew how to do this.
Yeah.
And she showed it and redressed it. But we like everything else we were having access to her, to talk about it, to have her try it, give notes, was really, really a blessing. Because she was in Italy, I was in Australia.
And then it's interesting because then you also have sort of the influence, like the Western influence, like I guess the British influence on sorry, her character's name.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, of course, the sister-in-law.
Yes, and that was very intentional.
Yeah.
She was the classic, young woman who, now would say teenager acting out, wanting to be in a place that was much bigger and much more informed than her small little fishing island. She wanted to explore. She took time to make her dresses to be what she saw in the any type of newsprint or books that were sent to her. And it's a little dated for the time, but accurate enough that the dress that she escapes in would have been the most accurate time period. It's her special dress. It's her Sunday best dress that she escapes in. But I just, working with Elizabeth was like, I inherited a daughter as an actress. She was so lovely.
I've seen her somewhere before. I immediately recognized her. I think she's in another show.
She was in a TV series, sci-fi, I think.
That's what I think. Yeah, I think it was. And then, but also I was going to ask you, so the sari, it appears to match the fabric of her, like her bodice and skirt.
Yes,
is that correct?
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like an ensemble. Cause oftentimes when I'm looking at wedding ensembles, they always seem to complement, but it's so fresh. And I love the flowers, by the way. Oh, just so gorgeous.
Fun. Myself and, Phil Ivey, our production designer, worked with props to, choose a flower, and I got Priyanka on FaceTime to look at it. And again, it's all the different cultural influences, right? And it's just, you see that in not only her costume, but how they've dressed the house for the wedding.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, she has, we did talk a little bit about this one. By the way, one of the things I love about this is she's wearing almost like well, I guess women would have worn boots, but it's like a very practical footwear.
Very practical, but, she would have worn this to work on the land, in the farm, in the, around the house, outside, but she had wampas, which was like very, very specific to the Cayman Islands. They were made out of cuts of leather, layered and hardened with twine from braiding that was done locally on the island and done to this day. And in the movie, we see Priyanka wearing it. I think she has it on in that green two-piece from the first day.
But her feet are cut off here, so see it. Yeah.
And then we have one for Elizabeth as well.
And then the other thing is, I love this because, women never had pockets, never seemed to have pockets. So you have this like great pouch that she wears on her belt.
Was so funny. We made that the night before camera.
Really?
She needed something, and we literally whipped it up. There was a bag that was pulled for her, that props, that we thought would work because it would put all her things in it, but it just didn't feel right. So we created this pouch literally the night before. I have pictures of cutting it, sewing it, aging it, and getting it to camera for the first day of camera.
Wow.
The night before. I God bless that team.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that, we always, where do women put their things? And of course, it's very almost like a patriarchal thing that women, well, what do you need to be carrying? Well, I need my weapons.
So that it you can always tell a prop bag that is too flat for any woman who's actually carrying stuff in it to have. And what I wanted was something she could work with, that she took the piece out, that she'll take a knife out, the dagger out. So it had to be small enough for her to move and move in, but also big enough to literally hold practical things in.
And then did you have it so that it could slide onto the belt or attach to the belt?
It had strings and it tied onto the belt.
Yeah, so then she could take it off as she needed. Because I think she also has, here, like, because at this point prior to this, she hasn't been able to access her cave where she has all her things, right? Where
Right.
she's just by the way, I was going to mention, just thinking about her bloomers, because years ago, I remember, I don't know if you know, Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones, and Michelle
Yes.
Clapton, who was the designer on that, she said, I always put her in pants because you never know when she has to make a getaway. She has to like hop on her dragon or something. So I was sort of thinking about that with Ursula, is that she has to have, like, she has to be ready to go because she never knows when she might be discovered, because she is sort of in hiding in a way, I guess, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I thought that was that. So now that you've told me the whole story about deciding not to do the nightgown, I think it totally works, like thematically speaking and story wise.
One thing I can say about my lead actress / producer, jack of all trades, my Shiro, Miss Priyanka Chopra, is she was very intentional with every costume, every prop, every piece. It needed to work. It needed to have purpose. Why am I wearing it? Why am I using it? Her footwear were custom made, and they are just rustic looking booties. They weren't the refined,
Yeah, there's no heel or anything. It's
dainty,
kind of,
there's no
yeah,
heel.
yeah.
She's working on the farm. Why would her boots have heels on it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if she was, in Jamaica and she was a lady of the manor, absolutely. But for these purposes, they could almost be boys' boots. And that's how we treated them.
So there's a few things I want to talk to you about, just given like just the technical aspects of this show. Well, actually, before I do that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about Karl Urban's character, because I know we did touch on it. But so one of the things is, like, he is an absolutely vile human being in this. And it's very difficult because it's Karl Urban, and, how handsome is he? And so when you were approaching this, were there some discussions about, like, how do we make Karl Urban not a, mustache twirling type villain? Like, he can be kind of dashing, but also be awful, right? Like, so what were the conversations like regarding his character?
Wow, where do I start?
I know. And we were chatting before we started recording that last night I watched the season finale of The Boys. And of course, he's also iconic in that. And these are totally polar opposite characters. So, you want to almost create something that is, a different experience for the viewer.
I am equally proud of this costume as much as, they're your babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this costume, luckily Karl was in New Zealand. He was able to fly over for an early fitting with muslin so that we could make sure we got the fit right. And we had the fabrics we showed him. We had mock-ups we showed him. And the boots. And as soon as he got into the costume, not the muslin, and put the boots on, and props came and showed him the ideas, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to work. He loved it. And he started walking around the office. And I videotape fittings because it helps me to see how they move in the costume. It helps me to show the actor how they're moving or what's not working, as well as the director. And actually, Frankie came in and started videotaping it himself. But the backstory for Connor is he was a captain from the, East Indian Trading Company, which is Navy because it was British owned, but not, because the rules were a little lax. And he had a full military uniform. This coat he's wearing is an actual captain's jacket. What it needed to be when he got off that island is, who was this man? This the East Indian trading companies start to fall apart around 1830, 1833. Who was this man 10 years, 13, 14 years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did he look now? Would he still be in his full costume, his full uniform? No, because he's bitter. He feels discarded by that institution. He feels not respected for all he did for them, right? So, but the one thing he kept is his boots
Mm-hmm.
and his coat, because underneath it would have been pieces he would have picked up and in his travels. We actually had a scene that there wasn't a lot of it, with him fighting Priyanka's character, Bloody Mary, and he's in the official white shirt, as he would be from his uniform, right?
Ah, yes.
And the white vest. And then we lost the vest because it just looked, he's getting out of bed. Why he'd throw his pants on? Why would he throw the vest on too? So he threw on a shirt or pants, and he's fighting in just a shirt. And those pieces were the actual uniform, pieces from the uniform. But as he evolved over the years and became a pirate, this is the adaptation. This is who he's turned into. So he's grounded in still keeping his boots and his coat, but underneath he looks like his sailors. They're a unit.
Yeah, I was wondering about the, how a private company, almost like, they're a private company, but then they still have the same rules regarding, like a ship's captain, like mutineering, and the rank and the command and all the characters. So I always found it really interesting because, like, we were talking about earlier about Mutiny on the Bounty, and they were showing all of the things that happen when, a group of individuals on a ship fall out of line, and they still have to answer. So I was wondering about his coat, because I thought, is this something as a pirate he would have like stolen? But no, you say this is actually his proper uniform.
Yeah, it's his proper. He was a captain,
Mm-hmm.
and Quartermaster Lee was
Yes.
also,
And
you
is a
see,
quartermaster the second in command on a ship?
yes,
Okay. So
yes. And he, it's almost like a supervisor in the costume
sure.
department who manages the crew. He speaks directly to the captain, and then he then informs the shipmates what he's doing, the sailors what they're doing next, where they're going, turn the sails this way, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah, sorry, I found this picture. This is actually, I think, at
that's
the
a
beginning of the
great
movie.
picture.
It's amazing.
I don't have that picture.
I'm
I
going to
want
send
that
it to you.
picture. I love this.
I believe this is at the beginning of the movie when they
Yes.
commandeer the other ship
Yeah, in the rain.
in the
But
rain,
you
and
can
that's another issue.
see, yeah. So the costume of the man right behind him in the blue jacket and the lighter colored sailor pants is not one of his sailors. That is a prisoner. And
Yes.
if you saw him from the front, you see that his costume was very, very different. Doesn't look quite as militaristic. Not, it doesn't have the leather belt, all the pieces attached for different armors, knives, swords, all of the gack. These poor guys, that stuff that they were carrying
Oh my
around
gosh.
on their bodies all through the day was, I got to give it to them. They were all stuntmen, lots of stuntmen.
I have to ask you also, I noticed that Captain Connor is wearing, he's wearing like a signet ring, I believe, some kind of
Yes.
ring, and a chain. So do you want to tell me a little bit about the jewelry that he's wearing?
So the signet ring has his seal.
Okay.
And
Which
we
makes
designed
sense.
a seal based on, his position, his family name, and researched the heck out of that, because Carl, like Priyanka, it needed to mean something. it needed to come from somewhere. And once I did it, I sent it off to him for his approval, and then we mocked it up. And it's pretty rustic, almost like a stamp was on hot molten gold. And if
Yeah, the idea that you would put it into wax or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I know where's the one of the chain I had. There was a close up. I think it's this one. Maybe.
Yeah,
you can sort of see it there.
The chain as well is pretty rustic. It's heavy. It's gold. It is something that he may not have had as a captain of the East Indian Trading Company, but he definitely wore as a pirate. And it's just sexy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I guess if he was in full dress uniform, he would have had a cravat or something like that. The collar would be up.
Yeah.
But he's got it open. And by the way, and I love his, because I'm growing up my salt and pepper hair, I love his, like, I know this isn't your department, but I love the contrast of the salt and pepper hair with his costume as well. Like, I just think it ties in so beautifully.
Well, Leslie, our designer for hair and makeup, we worked very closely together using the same concept artist in Australia that for Connor, hair, makeup, and costume. And that was very detailed and thought out, and different versions that were approved. So she didn't just come up with this look and try it on. There's concept art for days to get to this look. And it was brilliant. It looked great on him. I have another shot where it's in daylight, where you really get to see the detail of the hair, the makeup, the mustache, which is not the twirly kind, which I love.
No, it's kind of almost like a mutton chop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I liked about it is, we were talking about how he's so well known for Billy Butcher on The Boys, and it's just a completely different look for him. Like in The Boys, I think his hair's dyed and it's short and spiky, whereas here it's long, like almost like a bob. And then I just love that little bit of bushiness happening there. Yes. It's like I said, I love, like, you come to really loathe him despite the fact that he is, he looks attractive, and it's such a hard, line to walk there, I guess.
Well, it's hard to make Carl Urban look bad.
Of course. Yes.
But more important for me was just making it look real and not caricature. Is that the right word?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't, we didn't want the reference or comparisons to Pirates of the Caribbean, which has a whole other Disney-esque vibe to it. This needed to be raw, gritty, and as real as it can be, depending on whether or not you believe the story. And my hope with an intention was it felt real, it felt believable. Was I asked to do a little bit of stylization? Absolutely. It seems to be my stamp. But there were places I felt it wasn't needed, like with Elizabeth's character.
I don't think I've ever spoken to any designer who has, like, 100% it's historically accurate. We have to, we're trying to tell a story here. My moniker is Story Through Costume. This is what we're getting to know these characters. So even if they don't say anything, like, as soon as you see them, it tells us, the story of what we need to know in many ways, right?
Yeah, but the historical police still come for me.
Oh, yes, I know. I'm not one of those people. I hope you know that. Now, speaking of some of the challenges that happen, like, trying to nail the historical accuracy or what have you, but you also have to deal with all the action sequences. You have to deal with there was so much blood in this show. Oh my gosh. I was like, the one scene where she's in her bloomers, I was like, what is going on here? So do you want to tell me a bit about, like, that, some of the challenges of working, probably have to work with stunt actors, and you have to have duplicates. And I think I did see that I think I saw on Instagram, you were talking about Priyanka's bloomer set, that you had somebody on set, like, in real time, kind of like matching it.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that correct?
Well, absolutely. This is the ultimate action movie. And I've done quite a few of them.
I know.
But this one was special for a couple of reasons. One, we were shooting Australia for Cayman Islands and shooting Australia in winter. So the stunt people absolutely loved that they could layer all their gear underneath the long sleeves and also keep them warm because it was cold. At times it was very cold. So being able to layer not only long underwear, heat pads, we also could layer their stunt gear. And then the few times that they were without the layers, like poor Ismail without his denim jacket at night and just that white
Yes.
shirt, I felt his pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a challenge because it is the Cayman Islands. It is supposed people are supposed to be hot and sweaty and you're seeing skin, but we really couldn't. I mean, when we shot on this small island off the coast of Queensland, the mornings were really chilly. I mean, I'm walking around in my coat, hoodie, and so are the producers. And, we have our felt vests on or our quilted vests, and the poor actors are just in their long sleeves. But that was a challenge, the weather. What was also a challenge, and it really helped, the building that was our production office. There was a warehouse section where stunts was also rehearsing. So we were able to have the stunt coordinator come into the fittings and show him the costumes. When we did the very first fittings with the actor, we had them walk outside into the parking lot and move around in the costume, run. I mean, I had Elizabeth run from one end of the parking lot to the other to make sure, and that's where
Picture
we
her.
realized the length of the dress. And we talked about, let's start ripping the dress as she goes through the action because it's immediate that she has to lift it to move, right? So instead of lifting it, let's just rip it off. And so those videos were not only helpful for myself, they were helpful for the actor. I had my cutters I had several cutters who handled different casts because it was a full-on build show because as I mentioned, it was one script day. So minimum, some pieces were a dozen. So for that dress that Elizabeth's wearing throughout the end sequence, I think I had like 8 of those for her. No, 6 for her, and then we had stunt dresses. But
It's
it
so
went
pretty,
from
by the way. Like such a
oh,
beautiful motif,
thank you.
Yeah, I just absolutely love it. And the sleeves are almost like a bishop, like a bishop sleeve.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
And
so pretty.
you see the difference with her bodice as compared to Priyanka. What Priyanka's wearing right there is a day dress. It's what they put on first top of the day to clean the house, to work in the yard. It's a practical working day dress that originally had an apron, but the apron just didn't work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is there where she's got it
Yeah.
tucked into her belt. Whereas you were saying that Elizabeth's dress is like her kind of running away dress, like she's
Yeah,
put on
yeah.
her Sunday best.
Yes.
And
And
yeah,
it gets tattered by the end of the movie.
absolutely. Yeah, like this scene was by the way, and I haven't mentioned Isaac as well, who is also here. A wonderful young actor. And to have to wear those braces for the shoot.
Well, he would have had to wear something because he's disabled, and we our first fittings with him in Los Angeles, we had to measure his feet to build custom shoes that would work with what he wears underneath the costume to keep his feet secure, and then a brace was built over top of that. So
Okay.
a lot of engineering went
Wow.
into
So underneath it, he's actually wearing some type of brace
Yes.
under the pants. Oh, okay.
under the pants, yes,
Yeah.
that fit into those special shoes that were made for him.
That's
So we
amazing.
needed to build a shoe that was appropriate for the period that also fit the apparatus that he needs to wear to walk in.
By the way, I was going to ask you, I think you told me this when you were working on the Book of Clarence, that you found some type of long underwear that could be, plugged into a battery that was warming. Did
Yes,
you use that same kind of thing on this movie?
absolutely.
Yeah, you use the things you know, right? And where
Yeah.
did you find those, by the way? Like, I've
Well,
never seen them in the wild,
The
as the
ones
kids
that
say.
I got for the Book of Clarence, we got out of, was it Hungary or Germany? I think it was Hungary we found them. And that story was we needed a lot of them. So we literally had to go to the manufacturer, not the retail source, and had someone get off a plane, go outside, get the boxes, get back on the plane with them, and get to Italy. And because we needed them ASAP. It was for all those scenes that we had people outside with the Christ.
Yeah, and you were telling me it was very cold.
It was beyond cold.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Because
We
you
had
told me but you
blankets.
said you had them comfortable in their outfits.
Well, Lakeith never took his off. He had
Yeah.
one that he wore underneath his tunic.
Yeah.
And it was, at one point, James Samuel was rushing over to put his coat on him. And I'm like, you don't need to put your coat on him. He's warmer than you are. He's plugged
Yeah.
in, guy.
He's plugged in, yes.
He's battery powered. He's got a little heater underneath that.
That's so great. I love that. Yeah, because I remember years ago I was working for a company and they did a lot of mascots and they had these suits that they got from NASA actually that had like the tubes going through with the chilled water. So
Yeah.
that was for cooling, but
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that for warming, not even thinking about it. And of course in the Book of Clarence, it looks warm. It looks warm, so you don't even think about it, right? And same here,
Yeah.
you had because you were filming, again, it didn't look like winter as a Canadian, where we think of winter in a very different way.
Absolutely.
So that's really interesting.
And not everyone. It was just, the principal cast who didn't have action at that time. Like none of the stuntmen could wear it because as you see, they're getting into water, they're near fire, they're this. So it depended on the person and what they were doing. We relied a lot on just the traditional, what you wear for skiing, lightweight.
Yes.
Silks.
Like the silks or the...
Yeah.
By the way, I was going to ask you, who is this gentleman standing behind TH? He must be he must be a wrestler or something. He's massive.
I'm not quite sure casting wise where he came from. I just knew that, oh my God, he's big.
Yeah.
And we had to make everything for him custom.
I was going to say.
His boots, his pants, his shirt, and of course multiples because he's killed. But yeah, he was a big man.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I don't think he was a wrestler. I think he was a stuntman.
Oh, okay.
They cast that size.
I shouldn't make that generalization anyway, just because.
No, but
but a lot of the times they are, right? They are. Yeah, they come from the wrestling world.
There have been the ex-football players, ex-athletes. Yeah.
Like, Dave Bautista, for instance, but although I just saw him in a movie, he's slimmed down now. Like he's a wonderful actor. He's moving away from the wrestling, but I saw him in a movie with, oh my gosh, who's that other, Hawaiian actor? Yes. Yeah. So, the wrestlers, by the way, they're wonderful actors oftentimes. It's because I was saying to my husband, I think it's because it's still in the entertainment arena. And so, oftentimes they make wonderful actors as well. Well, I just want to make sure that we've covered everything. What was it like for you, by the way, working in Australia? Had you ever worked there before?
No. And I would go back there in a heartbeat. It
Did you
was,
get to
I
have
mean,
a little bit of respite, like in Sydney at all, like between, shooting
I was
days
able,
or?
yeah, I was able to visit Sydney on my way out. I spent a couple of days in Sydney, you know, just trying to assimilate very quickly the culture and the fashion, and it's very different from Queensland. It almost felt like for us Canadians, the difference between Queensland's almost like a Vancouver
Mhm.
and Sydney's like Toronto, you know? And I was just trying to remember the name. I went to this small town about almost 90 minutes, almost 2 hours outside of Queensland for a weekend that was absolutely lovely and reminded me of Negril in Jamaica, reminded me of home. You know, I had oysters, which is
Oh,
not anything to do with Jamaica, but and champagne. But it was lovely. I took a little mini break to, obviously near the end when we'd start to establish everything, and I just could catch my breath, recharge.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things, one of the things I was hoping, I was thinking about in the future, I'd love to have a conversation with you and some other designers about what it's like working out of a suitcase, like living out of a suitcase, and how stressful and tiring that could be. Because there's this girl named Lindsay that I follow on Instagram, and she just was talking about how she's been away from home for almost 3 years, and I was thinking, I think it's
Yeah.
an important conversation to discuss at some point.
Well, I'm game. I feel like each trip I learn
Mhm.
something new. I don't bring any less clothes and always seem to buy a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
It's like you get tired of wearing the same things. And that's something I need to become good at, is being happy with just what I have and not being like, eye candy when I see something shiny in a retail window. It's like, ooh, that's cute. Can't leave that. Um, it's challenging. I think what I lean to and what really I find exciting is I don't think I've ever traveled and not learned something new from the local crew that
Mhm.
we gather, and the different names. Like, I love the name art finishers for agers. I mean, the US uses the
Oh,
word ager dyers.
yeah.
In Canada, we say breakdown artists. And in Australia, it's art finishers. And
I
I
love that. That's
like,
really
isn't
neat.
that fantastic?
Yeah,
And
so
they're
fun.
definitely artists. That some of the workmanship on this film was the Book of Clarence, the dyeing was amazing. The art finishing techniques that were done on for this movie. And just, if anybody bought the tracker costume with some of my favorite art finishing, I want it. Sell it back to me. But yeah, I love learning new techniques, new ways of doing things. The hardest part, we needed so much fabric. And that was the one area I wish that was stronger for me in Australia. But luckily, Thailand is close, Japan is close. We brought fabrics, that beautiful fabric that you see on Elizabeth, you liked with the floral.
Oh,
We
yeah, it's
brought,
just stunning.
yes.
All the fabrics, what I have to say, because this is one of the things I do really remember from Book of Clarence, is all the gorgeous fabrics that you had. And Anne Crabtree, do you know her, Anne
Yes,
Crabtree?
yes.
She was telling me fabric is always one of the most challenging things, especially
Fabric
like,
and buttons.
oh, buttons, yeah. And it was interesting because I was chatting. I did an interview with a designer who was shooting in Malaysia,
Mhm.
and she said it was just the challenge she had was in Kuala Lumpur. they have a lot of fabrics, but a lot of them are synthetic. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing she said she discovered is that some of the fabrics look natural, but they're synthetic and they work really well in hot climate. So I thought that was interesting. Like there's some modern techniques that they're using, maybe with microfibers and so on. So, but yeah, so the age old, especially if there's, there's a global pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
everything gets shut down. So this will be, maybe one day some designers will just get together and build a mill, and then they can mill their own fabrics. Why don't you do
Right.
that?
Or just, I mean, one thing that we are good at is sharing resources. I found
Absolutely.
this incredible resource in London that had small print historical looking fabrics, which is where Elizabeth's print came from. It was not that color. It was a natural with the floral, and I dyed it and dyeing it until we got that right
Yeah.
peachy pink color. So that was
Was
started
it
out like
Gainsborough
this.
by any chance?
No, it
There's
was
one. I
not.
know there's a company that I discovered when I was doing research on Outlander, and
Mm,
that's what they do. They have like swatch books, and then if
mhm.
you find a fabric you like, they'll reproduce it for you, and sometimes in multiple colorways. So I think that's wonderful. Like, is there a resource where designers can share with each other?
No, not yet. I should when you say designers share with each other, I mean, as you know, CAFCAD has a Google group that we share. Someone's asking a question, where can I find this? And then someone like Victoria will chime in and say, I have it in my garage.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I love
and
that.
and or I'm the president of the ISBCD, the International Society of Black Costume Designers, and we do the same thing. We have a WhatsApp chat group, and we have a Google group, and someone will ask a question. I'm looking for this. Where do you recommend? And because we're international, what's fantastic is you'll get the London branch, or someone from South Africa, or someone chiming in from LA, and people will throw in, well, if you can ship it and there's not tariffs, you can get it from here. And it's been wonderful to open up the boundaries and have resources and help from costume designers in different countries. So if I wish there was, and that's such a great idea. You should start it.
I will. I will.
Seriously, Heidi,
I do
start
have. Yeah.
a Google group or some kind of group for sharing fabric and notions resources, because fabric is hard, but I'm agonized over buttons. I cannot stand a cheap brassy remake button. And I tend to replace buttons a lot.
Yeah, I did. When I was doing Game of Thrones, when I was covering it, I did create a resource one on that one. I should. I should do that. It's a great idea. Maybe my new intern will help me with that
Yeah.
idea. That's a great idea. I love it.
And caller, I'll give you all, I mean, we keep contact lists. I'll share all that we have with you, because it is there's one resource that I want to speak to here that has saved my life a few times, and that's Western costume. As you know, I'm a big fan of Western costumes. They've saved me in a pinch. And they have a fabric store within the rental house that not only can you buy from books, but at the end of the Book of Clarence, at the end of The Harder They Fall, I will donate, sell, gift, whatever you want, to their fabric store, and or trade it off for rentals, whatever means necessary. But they end up with fabrics that we no longer need.
Oh, I love that. So
And
it's almost like a fabric bank.
yes,
Maybe someone who would have gone to Goodwill or gone into landfill. Like it's
yes,
found a
yes.
home, a proper home. I love that.
Found a proper home, and not only the fabrics, but any, trim buttons, great buttons. I've got source buttons up the yin yang from Western costumes. And they also have archive fabrics, dead stock, in their little back room. That if you get to treat to go back there and dig. So that is a great resource for anyone who didn't know, even if it's just to go in and look for inspiration. So all these costume designers have picked and agonized over that perfect fabric. And if there's a couple of yards left, sometimes it ends up at Western Costumes.
That's amazing. Well, Antoinette, I want to, before we wrap up, I just want to, well, first of all, I want to tell you how amazing this has been to chat with you about the Bluffs, not just about the Bluffs, but just everything in general. I definitely want to have you back to talk about something else. But before I let you go, is there anything that you're working on? I mean, hopefully you had a little bit of a break aside from your little stay in Australia.
I had too long a break, but I love to keep busy. But I did, the following summer, I did a series called, I joined a series that was in progress called I Will Find You for Netflix. And that was a great shift from Victorian to contemporary character.
That sounds scary. It sounds immediately scary. Is it a horror?
Well, yes, another Corbin. Is it her?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I know who
another
you're talking
one of
about.
his. Yes, and
Is it
he does
Harlan?
Harlan Corbin. Yes, and I did meet the gentleman. He does that mystery thriller, dark. There's always somebody you're looking for who dies. And this story stars Sam Worthington, who I've worked with on Lyft.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Yes, he's very wonderful. But I got to work with Madeline Stowe for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
amazing.
yes.
I just saw her, I just rewatched 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
And with Bruce Willis and Madeline Stowe. So that's amazing. I'm glad to see that she's working.
Oh, exquisite style, exquisite. She knows what works on her body, and also less is more, which I'm very much a fan of. And there was some great actors on that series, and so it was good to pivot and stretch my left brain for a minute and try to figure out shopping locally again in Toronto and reassessing our limited resources. We've lost so many incredible department stores.
Absolutely.
The Bay leaving hurts my heart. That was
absolutely.
one of my first jobs,
I was going to tell you, my mom, she used to work at Holt Renfrew in like when she was in her like 20s. I don't even know if it's around anymore though.
It is. It is around. It's gone through many changes. I'm not sure how I feel about the current Holt Renfrew, but at least they're still there, which is great. And what there is a lot of now is Simon's, which is Quebec owned.
Yeah, my niece loves that store. Yeah, it's nice. It's Canadian owned. Yeah,
it's Canadian owned, but I miss the Bay. I mean, we lost Nordstrom and Saks, who were here for a hot minute, but losing Sears and the Bay, I think really Simpson Sears and the Bay, two different, demographics that they hit has hurt us. But what was good having the American chains is when you did the American type shows, you had that. But I'm not a mall rat. I call myself not a mall rat. I love to go looking for the local, local jewelry artisans, local designers, local boutiques that are willing to work with you. And I get off on the hunt and you go to the mall obviously for multiples, and when you need that specific classic, I mean, Banana Republic will always be great for men's shirts, but I like finding new stuff, finding new designers, new stores. There was a big chain online on social media threads where like, oh my God, how could you shop in the US or or Canada. There's nothing there. I said, there's nothing there if you don't look for it.
Yeah,
But if you
absolutely.
think out of the box, get out and
Mhm.
spend a Saturday wandering around the different, cities. And God, Montreal is amazing for retail. It looks different than Toronto as night and day, but
Yeah, and so, by the way, when is that show coming out, or is it out?
it comes out June 17th. It
Oh,
airs
it's coming up
it's
very
supposed to be out.
soon. Oh, that's so
No, hold on.
exciting.
Is it June 17th or is the premiere is June 17th? So it is shortly after. Usually it's like
Yeah.
a couple of days to a week after it comes out after the
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm going to watch it.
yeah.
Horror is one of my favorite genres. Like, I'm actually watching a horror right now that I'm like really excited about. So maybe you'll come back and we can talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it is sort of on the borderline of horror. I think it's more thriller.
Thriller, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does get dark, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
absolutely, I'd love to come back.
Yeah, I just watched Scarpetta,
Oops,
which
sorry.
is sort of that dark, psychological horror. But yeah, I'd love to have you come back anytime. I want you to come back and we could talk because I just love chatting with you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun. I throw references out locally, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Of
So
course I
thank you for
do.
that.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes what I'll do, I think what I did, I had, who did I have on? And I posted, because we were talking about Gadabout and some places in Kensington Market. And
Well,
I
yeah.
put pictures up. So
No,
people knew what
absolutely. That's what I meant when I said Victoria. Gadabout is a little
Yes.
gem on Queen
Yes.
Street
It's
that
wonderful.
if you
It's
love
such a
just
great
the
place.
exact, just digging for that find,
For
that
sure.
cute little gem. I recommend everybody visit Gadabout and book an hour.
It's so fun. It's just like, and it's such a tiny little space, but it's just, there's so many treasures in there that
And
she
she may have
has.
it in the basement or in
Or
her
in the basement.
garage.
She'll go look for you if
Yeah,
you ask.
exactly.
Well, anyway, Antoinette, thank you so much. And, I would love to do this again. And I really appreciate us getting back together. And I'm just sorry it was so long between us last chatting. So I hope we can do this again soon.
Absolutely. And I'm going to hold you to forming that little committee, okay?
I am, for sure. I love that idea. And then once I get my assistant to help me with it. But anyway, and for all of those of you who've been watching, I really appreciate you spending time with us. And The Bluff, it's on Amazon Prime right now. You can go watch the whole movie and highly recommend it. It was so much fun, such a blast. Like I said, when I found out about it, I went right away and watched it. So you will really
Thank
enjoy
you.
it. Yeah. And anyway, and everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care now.
Bye.
So I'm just going to end the recording and then wait.